If you scroll through social media in the lead up to a gacha character's banner being released, there's no shortage of people praying for their own success. I mean, gacha summoning rituals are a thing that's been around the community for a long time. Whether it be posting pictures of the character, applying to get your favorite streamer to roll for you, getting the voice actors to send their blessings, planning to do the pulls in a specific location in the game that holds some sort of significance for that character, listening to rolling my gacha subliminals. Why is this a thing? Artists contribute to this culture quite a bit as well. There's no shortage of fan art for characters being posted in large quantities in an attempt to affect people's roles. Almost as if art is an offering we're laying at the feet of the gacha gods, hoping for a favorable outcome. Back when I was playing a game called Fate Grand Order, artists in the community would post fan art calling them catalysts for the summoning. For non-Fate fans, a catalyst is an item that has a connection to the character that they're trying to summon. The act of drawing or showing love for the character was a way for them to increase their odds of getting said character. And trust me, in a game like Fate Grand Order, you're looking for anything that's going to help you secure the waifu. Back when I was playing, there wasn't even a pity system in the game, which means someone could, I don't know, hypothetically spend $5,000 on the game trying to get a character they want, but no matter how much money they spend on the game, they just don't even get a single 5-star to show up. Then the last day of the banner, they try to throw a bit of extra money, finally hit the 5-star, but then they lose the 50-50. Don't spend money on gacha games. Anyways, I just realized I'm an artist now, so I can actually draw my own catalysts. I was gonna draw Firefly every day until her banner came out to ensure that she comes home. And I had full confidence it would work because, I've already done this before. When Penacony was announced, I was really excited. The new area was completely different to anything Star Rail or Genshin had offered previously, and the cast of characters they introduced looked really cool. But amongst them, one stood out for me. Everyone has their preferences when it comes to character designs, and Sparkle just kind of hits every single one of them for me. I really love traditional Japanese style clothing, and adding that kind of fireworks festival feel to it was a bonus. She very clearly looks quite similar to Hu Tao as well, a character I really liked when I was playing Genshin Impact. I still even have some of the merch on the table despite not really playing the game anymore. I also have a preference for characters that feel a little bit off, like a little psychotic, a little not right in the head. Ubel from Freeren and Toga from My Hero Academia are two that come to mind immediately. It almost felt like this character was made for me, and from the start of 2.0's release, I obsessively drew her every day. This was also around the time PewDiePie's viral video hit YouTube, where he learned how to draw by drawing every day. And that kind of inspired me to want to try and do it as well. So I set my sights on 100 days of drawing Sparkle. And I failed. So what happened? Obviously, I burnt out. Forcing myself to draw every day when I wasn't in the mood made me really not enjoy art anymore. Adding to this, I was trying to post a lot of these on Twitter as well, which meant subconsciously I held myself at a much higher standard. This was only made even worse when one of the pieces I did actually hit the algorithm and went on to become my most liked piece of art ever, which only made it more frustrating when everything else I posted afterwards kinda tanked. Burnout aside, it was also really hard to come up with different ways to draw the same character over and over and over again. And all of that was only amplified when I actually got her in the game. Like, why would I spend all that time drawing her if I could just open the game and look at her being cute? But at the end of the day, I did end up getting her, so maybe this whole catalyst thing actually works. So it was decided. I was going to draw Firefly every day for 30 days leading up to her release. So, about that, it's about 2 weeks into the Firefly banner, and I haven't drawn anything. I mean, to be honest, it's kind of a life lesson, right? Sometimes you have plans that you want to do, and then you get busy because you have other things that you need to do. Like really super important things. But hey, I still have 2 weeks. That's 14 days. That's plenty of time. And I think it's important to not repeat my mistake from the previous challenge, so let's set a few ground rules. First off, I will draw Firefly every day. No exception. It doesn't have to be complicated. It can even be a 5-minute doodle, but I'm not allowing myself to go to sleep for the day until I've drawn her at least once. Number 2, I'm only going to do sketches or doodles. The biggest pitfall when I was doing the Sparkle challenge was the expectation to produce a finished illustration every day. And let's be real, some days I'm probably not going to want to draw. And being expected to complete a finished illustration in that state is a recipe for disaster. And finally, number 3, just have fun. I want to use this opportunity to mess around, try different things, so this will be a very chill, no pressure kind of deal. I think I really want to try and use this challenge to jumpstart my motivation to draw again. And that's it, I guess, so let's get started. I wanted to start the first day as a kind of control, so I decided to draw Firefly the way I'd normally draw if I was sketching any random thing. One of the things that really drew me to her character was the whole Kamen Rider aspect, so I decided to settle for a henshin kind of pose like I saw in all the tokusatsu shows I used to watch. As I haven't been drawing a lot until then, I could definitely feel the rust. I felt really unsure about how to proportion the face, how to lay down my construction. Let's be real, for something that's supposed to be a henshin pose, you know, a henshin pose, I drew her looking ridiculously stiff. That being said, the result wasn't too bad, so I guess for a day one, it does work. Day one probably took me about an hour or so for something that really didn't turn out too good. So on day two, I decided to set myself a time limit of 30 minutes. I remember that scene from 2.2 Story Quest and decided I'd try to draw her like that, in the Japella Rebellion outfit from those cutscenes. I didn't really like how this turned out, if I'm being honest. Once again, the pose feels a little bit stiff, it's a little bit basic, she's just front facing. On top of that, it does look a little oddly proportioned to me, and the final product didn't really look like Firefly to me. Loki, it kind of looks like someone's just trying to cosplay as her or something. I want to try not to turn this video into a self-roasting session, so let me go ahead and try to have at least a couple positive things to say about this. I feel like every time I've drawn Firefly prior to this, I struggled with the shape of her hair, but I feel like the hair in this particular case actually looks kind of spot on. I've always kind of struggled to pick what color Firefly's hair is. Like, it is a grayish color, is it a yellowish gray? Is it an orangish gray? And I guess it's something that I can figure out along the way. The key to any challenge is to add variety. I recently watched a YouTube video of a guy trying to go a week only eating plain potatoes. And the thing that made it really hard for him was just how miserable eating the same plain basic thing again and again made him. That really is the essence of this challenge, isn't it? In the original Sparkle challenge, a lot of the difficulty came from the fact that I was drawing Sparkle kind of the same way. So to avoid that, I decided I was going to draw a chibi today. And it turned out pretty cute. I've drawn a lot of chibis in the past, specifically because I've sold merch like keychains and stickers at conventions. And I feel like every time I sit down to draw one, they kind of come out looking completely different. Maybe I'll give chibis another try later in the challenge, but that's all she wrote for today. Okay, I'm gonna be honest. I kind of cheated today. Look, I was already working on this comic involving Silverwolf and Firefly over the last few days, and I didn't have a lot of time to draw today, so I decided that I was gonna use my computer time to finish off this comic so it's ready to post like in a couple days. So this comic, me finishing this comic, that counts, okay? Count, there's like 3 Fireflies here. You're getting a 3-for-1 deal. You have no right to complain. Also, I forgot to turn on the recording settings in CSP for the last couple days, in case you were wondering. So yeah, that's why there's no cool time lapse and stuff. So I woke up and decided I wanted to give chibis another go. I've actually been looking at a lot of different chibi artists and art styles, and my mindset this time was to really focus in on the proportions. I do really love how this one ended up, but I think I'd actually like to take some time to find a method for these that I really vibe with. There's an infinite amount of ways to approach chibi art, and I think I haven't really spent the time to figure out how I want to do it. I didn't end up coloring this one, but I think compared to the older chibi I did earlier, I definitely prefer the style of this one a lot more. So maybe this is a step in the right direction. Now at this point of the challenge, tedium was already starting to set in pretty prominently. So in order to stop myself from falling into doing the same thing day after day again, I decided to change things up. I'm really a big fan of those artists that immediately go in with colors and shapes instead of sketching something out beforehand, so I decided I wanted to try that out today. I quickly grabbed a YouTube video that was talking about this drawing style, and I followed it as best as I possibly could. I honestly didn't really know what I was doing. My sense of shapes and what exactly I was painting didn't feel super solid, but I kept trying to carve out the right shapes and played around with the colors. One thing I don't really do is play around with brushes and textures. I'm a bit of a hard round brush Andy. It's the only brush I've ever really used as an artist, and it felt kind of like I was forced to at least try throwing in some textures to make this kind of style work. I am an artist that enjoys the coloring rendering process the most. I actually don't really enjoy doing the lines or a lot of the sketches sketching a lot of the time, so I feel like this is definitely an approach to art that probably resonates with me, but as it stands, I don't really know what I'm doing. I'm not super happy with the result, but considering how lost I felt throughout the whole process, like it literally felt like I was trying to draw blindfolded, I feel like it's a pretty good attempt. Maybe I should try doing it like this every now and then. So I've been doing this for about a week now, and I feel like each drawing I've done so far was on some level pretty good. But you know, when you do these challenges, it can't be like that every day. Some days, you just don't feel like trying. So, you don't. I actually think this doodle came out pretty cute, but admittedly I only spent like 5 minutes on it, so yay. A little early in the week, we got the Myriad Celestia trailer, which showed off Firefly in a plug suit. And that's what I decided to draw. I feel like I haven't had a lot of practice drawing bodies recently, so that really shows here. Especially since the suit that Firefly is wearing is supposed to be skin tight, which shows off a lot of the anatomy, and you know, I haven't had a lot of practice doing that lately. Again, I'm pretty surprised with how good the end result ended up being. If I had to criticize something, I'd definitely say that it'd be how I shaded. There isn't a lot of clarity in the drawing. Maybe darkening up the lines or making the contrast between the lights and darks a little more severe would have helped. But all in all, pretty good. Looking at this, I could have turned this into a pretty cool finished drawing, but since the rules are that I can only do a doodle, I can't do finished works, I didn't. Maybe I'll draw a plug to Firefly at some point in the future, after the challenge is done. Usually when a new patch releases, I wait a couple days to give my community a chance to play the new story before I do, so today, technically speaking, officially marks a week till at least I will be able to experience the 2.3 story quest. And I think the thing I'm most excited about, given the trailer that we got, is more Sparkle screen time. And I love these dolls that appear to be all over the place. As a side tangent, Hoyovus, please make this Sparkle plushies merch so I can buy it, please. I need them. You can even put a bomb in them, I don't care, I'll still take it, to be honest. I decided to do a quick doodle of Firefly hugging the Sparkle plushie. In lore, I think it's pretty clear, given what we've seen in the story, the Firefly probably doesn't really like Sparkle a lot at this point, so it probably would never happen, but hey, it's cute. It's cute, so I'm just gonna draw like that. It's day 10. So I decided to revisit the concept from the first day of the challenge. I decided to try a different angle to the pose this time and even added some fire in the background. I think this drawing still looks a little bit stiff if I'm being honest, but it's clear that's already a lot of improvement from my first attempt. Additionally, even if this is just a challenge that's forcing me to draw every day, and even though I haven't really done any drawing exercises or studies, it does kind of feel like I'm more and more comfortable getting into the act of drawing again. I mean, that's one of the reasons I even wanted to do this challenge again, was to try and encourage myself to draw again. I think this is probably my favorite doodling challenge so far, so yeah. And speaking of Kamen Rider, I gotta draw Sam, like at least once, right? I've never actually drawn a mech before. I love my Kamen Riders. I always tell myself I'm gonna do Tokusatsu fan art at some point, but I never do it. Because it's just so much work dealing with all the different parts and the geometry of it and the 3D shapes and everything. So difficult, man. Even though it's still a humanoid figure, the shapes of the suit and the helmet make it a lot more challenging to draw. I honestly don't think I did a very good job. I feel like when I was drawing the helmet, I was kind of getting the hang of it, but the second I got to the body, I saw all these details, these different panels, these parts that were supposed to fit together, and I had to figure out to like adjust these details because of the different pose I chose and the different angle. It was a lot. Sam is not easy to draw. I honestly got to give more respect to Burmy for, you know, giving it her best based of my descriptions, because it is not easy. This is my first time in a long time trying to do an art style study. I want to do a study of a mangaka whose art I really looked up to. So I grabbed the volume of the manga which I have off of my bookshelf and I got to work. I feel like since I was so focused on replicating the style of the artist, and because I love this artist's work so much, this is probably the best drawing so far. And I mean that from like a wide margin. There's a big difference between this one and all the rest of them. I have this really bad habit of drawing my eyes way too big a lot of the time. I think it comes from the fact that I used to be a huge My Hero Academia fan, so when I started drawing, I was trying to emulate Horikoshi Kohei's style. So I feel like drafting out the eye sockets really helped with keeping that in check. I also noted the way this artist adds extra lines to give the hair more texture and a little more volume. Yeah, I'll be honest, I think I did a really good job this time. Did you recognize the art style? Let me know in the comments. Only 2 days left, and the burnout was in full force. I kinda settled on doing a quick portrait drawing, but since it's been a while since I've colored and rendered anything properly, this time I wanted to play around with the colors and the shading. The drawing itself was a bit of a struggle. I think coming off the study from the previous day, I wasn't sure how to settle back into drawing in my own style again for some reason. The whole I draw eyes way too big thing, the struggle I have with facial proportions, all of my big problems really were plaguing me with this one. When I got to the coloring phase, I was really happy with how things were turning out as I was doing it, but now that I look back at the finished work, I think I'm a little unsatisfied with how the colors look. I think I went a little too dark with the skin tone. I feel like the hair is oddly bright. There are a bunch of other things. I was kind of disappointed with myself at this point, if I'm going to be honest. I was so disappointed with myself that I decided I was going to give the portrait thing another shot the next day. I realized I almost forgot to like do my time-lapse thing. But then I realized, hey, why haven't I been using OBS this whole time? I mean, like, maybe you guys will get dizzy because I'm the kind of artist that like flips my canvas all over the place a lot, but you know, that's part of the process too. I decided to keep it simple, just a portrait like yesterday. Simple colors, simple everything. I think after trying to mix things up day by day, try and keep things fresh, it's kind of nice to end this challenge on a more basic drawing. And yeah, I think I did quite a good job. I don't think that this drawing is anything spectacular. It's not one of my best work, but I can definitely look at this drawing and I feel like it looks a lot better. So after all that, how do I feel? Well, I finished it, right? I feel like having strategies in place for what to do every day, as well as deliberately trying to mix things up, kept the challenge fresh for me. Would I be able to continue doing this for longer? Probably. But I'm not gonna lie, even within the span of 14 days, there were a couple times I really didn't want to draw. Do I recommend doing this? I feel like it really depends on the kind of person you are. For me, I feel like this challenge was very beneficial. If you're an artist that's struggling with motivation, maybe it's something you can try. I basically took something that I love and am very passionate about, gacha games, and leveraged it to motivate myself to draw. I already have a lot of ideas for art-related things I want to do that I came up with while I was working on this 2-week challenge. But I know what you're thinking. Mika, that's cool and all, but did your catalyst idea actually work? Why don't I show you my rolls, and you can tell me if you think it worked. A roll, she's gonna come home, we call it a day. Welcome home. Okay. Let's go. Early! Let's go! Now the light cone. Woo! Yes! No, that's the wrong one! That's cool. Well. Yeah, this is it. And there it is. Yeah! We continue! That's what I want. I'll go. Okay, early! No, oh well, you know, it could be worse. That is wild. That's alright. I'm Natasha, an underworld doctor. Oh, dude. Okay, and there it is. Hi, Firefly.